Let's get this show rolling. I need to work on the audio for my fucking intro too. It's super loud. What's up, people? We're back. Episode 10. 11. We're episode 11. Yeah. 11.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great day. We're back to talking screenplay. we need a theme song too. Where's that kazoo?
Man.
I'm Prime Tony 112. This is Momo J. We're gonna go over Vision chapters 5 through 8.9 today.
Amen.
It's gonna be a great show. This book, I mean, I haven't talked to Jordan at all yet, but keeps getting better and better. Well, let me.
Probably my favorite.
Minus one part of it, I agree. I'm not big on the dog part, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Amory, can we get a check on his audio now? Should come as no surprise at this point, guys. I fucked up the audio.
Here, I can try and move my.
Is it still? Nah, I mean, I turned you all the way up. Like, Jordan, talk.
Hello. This is Momo J, and we're on episode 11 of Screenplay. That's a little bit loud. I should probably talk normal. Sorry, guys.
No, I got you. Nothing can stop you now. Because
Okay.
you're all the way
I'm
up.
all the way up. That's good. That's good.
It's so fucking loud in my ears right now. I gotta turn this down. All right. So yeah, we're doing good old Vision, and we're gonna jump through the chapters. Jordan was saying that this was his favorite set so far. I kind of agree, and then there's parts of it that start falling off for me a little bit, but we'll get into that. Chapter 5. Coming into it, there's a lot about, like, this is my favorite kind of stuff in all of media. It's all about, like, what does it mean to be alive? And what does it mean to be a person? And we get, what's her name? Vivian? No, Veronica? Starts with a V, woman's name. Floating over the guy that she beat up and killed his son. Which is she's showing remorse, which is good. Even though, like, she didn't really do it, but she did do it. Because if you remember from the last episode, I was like, oh man, this sucks. It's so sad. It's not really her fault. And then she goes and judo chops the guy. And you're like, well, maybe she's evil.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the Macbeth?
Honestly, so I had never had to read Macbeth in high school or anything. So whenever this was going on, like I don't know what type of dialogue you would call that. When I was reading it, I'm like, what does this have anything to do with? And then I had to, like, go and look it up, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then the scene came with the teacher, and I'm like, okay, all right.
So you had to Google it.
Yeah, basically. I'm not
So
a Shakespearean. So.
I mean, I'm not a Shakespearean either. I don't know a ton about it, but I do know this is like, well, I mean, I watch a lot of this kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
About robots and AI and stuff. This has been brought up many times. So yeah, this entire chapter is really just like a previously on. I mean, it's done in an artful way. It's done in a very good way, but it's really just showing the effects of the first 4 chapters on the family. I mean, would you concur?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Vision comes up, and well, not Vision. I'm sorry. Detective Arlington PD. What is it? Matthew Lynn comes to interrogate Vision on his whereabouts. Now, this kind of struck me as a little bit odd in the narrative, right? What led him to believe anything about Vision or the family? How did he know to be here?
Yeah, I would say it could be a good case of profiling. You know, I mean, that's like the one thing that's really different around that area.
So that was my first thought. And I was like, why the hell are they even here? This doesn't make a lot of sense. They do get into it. I need to quit saying this also was the first time I realized that their mailbox was on rockets, which is kind
Yes, yeah, me too. Which I thought was cool.
let me see if I can zoom in here so everybody can see it. No, you can't. Oh well, can't see it. Their mailbox has little rockets on the sides instead of like a regular pole. So Viv, it is Viv, right? Yeah, Viv comes out. No, Viv is the daughter. What's her name?
Virginia?
Virginia. Yes. Virginia comes out and she's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" And he's like, "I don't care. Get back in the house. I'll take care of this. This is man stuff." And
Yeah.
and she obeys. And this is kind of neat. They've alluded to this, but they didn't really say it specifically that I remember. Maybe they did, but I don't remember it. But they get together every night instead of eating dinner because they're robots. They converse, right, about their day. And Viv is distraught because her boyfriend died, and Vin is distraught because he doesn't know whether he's alive or not. He doesn't know if he's a real boy.
Yeah.
And Mom's distraught because she murdered a man. Well, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
murdered two men.
Oh,
Well, she murdered a man and eviscerated another man.
yeah. Yeah. I would say it's funny too because this is where you start seeing the repeating that we saw with
Right.
Viv when
Yep.
she got
100%.
murked. So, just a little foreshadow that something's probably going to happen here soon.
Yeah, she says we're gonna continue our discussion. And she like gets locked in that loop until she breaks the table. It was weird, right?
Yeah, reasonable.
Yeah, yeah. And then what's her name? Vin freaks out and she's like, "What's wrong with us? Why are we this way?" And then Vin jumps up and he's like, "Mom, if you prick me, do I bleed?" Because he's never been hurt. He's never even like he can just phase through everything. He's never experienced this. So he doesn't even know what like they're actually talking about. So then we get into the interrogation and Vision's not even really talking to the guy. The whole time he's just reminiscing about how he's saved the world all these many different times. And he doesn't even really care about the questions. The guy's like, "Where were you last night?" And he's like, "Well, I was at home." "Can you verify that?" He's like, "Yeah, because I said I was." "Can you give us proof of that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can." He's like, "Will you give us proof of that?" "No, I won't."
Yeah.
"Can you verify that?" "Yeah, I said it, so it's verified." And he's just remembering all these times that he saved the world, and it comes up, "Hey, the detective's like, 'Hey man, I heard that your son had a altercation with the deceased.'" And he's like, "Yeah, I forgot about that, but yeah, they fought. He got punished and moved on with his day." So that turns out that's why he's here, is because Vin beat the shit out of the guy. But I think he only punched him once, but I'm exaggerating. But he punches the guy, and somehow that equates to murder in this quaint little town.
Well, realistically, didn't he? He only picked him up with a choke, right?
Oh,
He
you're
was
right.
like,
Yeah.
Push this button and turn you off, and then he just dropped him.
Yeah. That means he's homicidal.
Yeah, exactly. I will say I loved the reminiscing of the battles. Only I don't know how you interpreted it, but it almost felt like a Messiah complex in a way, to where he was like, I saved the world this many times and I still end up in this bullshit. Like,
See, I didn't pick
almost
it
like
up.
He has no.
I didn't pick it up that way. I thought it was more that he can't believe he's in this situation where he breaks his own code. He's like, "I've done this
Really?
37 times in these grand scale of things, and I don't know why, but now I'm compelled to lie." Because he ends up telling the cops that his wife was with him all night when she wasn't. And like that's kind of the way I was taking it, where he's like, "Man, I'm going through all this and all this and all this," and eventually he's going to ask where she was at, and I'm going to end up telling him that she was with me when she wasn't. I think they actually allude to that. They say something along those lines.
Yeah, it's just I really liked this scene, and you know what you're saying. I like that interpretation too. I really liked it because it just brings on that whole theme that I keep trying to like figure out if this is where we're. I say it a couple times in the past couple episodes about this series, but Vision is he strives so hard to be human, but he's a lot more human than he realizes. I think.
Yeah.
That is a very human thing, right there.
Right. I thought it was also kind of cute that they literally list off these 37 times that he's saved the world, and he's like, the Nova Corps, the Kree Skull War, Ultron, Kang, Ultron again, and Ultron again. I think Ultron's in there like 5 times.
Yeah.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Ultron is technically his dad.
Yep.
So then we get a couple of more shots of the family, breaking down and Vision coming to terms with the fact that he's going to do whatever it takes to protect his family now. He also says, he wanted to tell her a joke, right? Like, let's go upstairs. Oh no, he just says, come upstairs. We'll fix it in the morning. Fix the table.
Yeah, I loved the dialogue between these two at this moment, where she's like, the table's broken. I don't know how to fix it. Just come upstairs. We'll figure it out tomorrow. He's like, okay, I'll be waiting for you upstairs.
And she says, I don't know how to fix. Yeah. And that's how it ends.
Yeah, she's losing her marbles.
Well, her marbles are gone, brah.
She threw them just right down the lane.
All right, then we get into the this is the dude who is this right? This is right, isn't it? Yeah. We get the guy coming up to the house who I'm sorry. I'm getting out of whack here. We get the family who brought over the cookies. He gets home at his house and lets his dog out. And his dog ends up running over to the Vision's property. This is probably my least favorite scene in the whole thing. Because I don't like seeing doggos get hurtos.
Yeah.
But the commentary in the narration is really good. And this entire volume is pretty much just narration. And it's talking about whether you solve for P or NP. And P means you have a set of variables that you can, a set of equations that you can plug it into to get a solution. And NP is brute force. You have to just run through all the permutations of different equations to find the answer. So you can't do it quickly. It doesn't have an easy solution. So then it comes and equates that to Vision and his family right now, where he's saying, Vision saw the equation as something simple. I will just make my family based off of my ex-wife's brain patterns and my brain pattern because I loved her. Seems simple, but it's actually not that simple. We all know. That's the narration. What we see in the panels, though, is a dog digging up the dead body of the Reaper and then dying by biting his claw, which shocks him, which just makes me mad.
Yeah.
The poor fucking dog. And he's a cute little dog too. He's not I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. The thing I've been asking, something that I bought into when I first started reading it, but I started questioning along the way, is why? Why did he want to recreate Wanda's brain patterns, right? I get he was in love and whatnot, but how did that all happen? What led to it? And we get the answer, I think, next book.
Mm-hmm.
But, prior to that, as a reader, you don't know that. You don't know, why he did it, how he was able to do it, and where he got the idea. Because, as it started going on, I'm just why didn't he just, fall in love with another person? Or find another woman, join Tinder, right? Start swiping right.
You mean download it into his brain?
Yeah.
He's just sitting there what are you doing, Viv? Swiping right.
So, I agree with you. The dog getting hurt wasn't my wasn't my favorite, but I definitely believe it adds to that. This is where it really starts to get super sinister for me, and I think this is when we start to see Vision almost starting to step into that. Like,
well, he's going in the dark
villainous?
path. Yeah, he's going in the dark
Yeah.
path, right? Yeah, he
Yeah.
he lies again. You know what I'm saying? Like he lies to the neighbor again to say he doesn't go and tell him, "Hey, your dog died because he bit this man's arm, this dead man's arm." My biggest complaint about this chapter is how the house is completely destroyed, right? And they don't tell you why or how this happens.
So I was thinking about that. I was actually about to bring that up. Throughout the rest of the series, the house is pretty well put together. Like even after the whole Reaper incident, it gets fixed up pretty seamlessly. From what I can tell. And then the broken table, that was the first kind of sign of it. But then I started thinking, I'm like, is that is this more of like a metaphor for something else? Whereas like anytime we see them in the house alone, it's perfect because that's what they want to see. They want to see this perfect life where the wife isn't a maniac killer and the kids aren't completely screwed up. And then like whenever we bring in real people like us, it's completely destroyed, discombobulated as like a metaphor for like how fucked up a family they are.
I think yeah, it could be that. I think what if it's an allegory for Vision and what he sees his family being? You know what I'm saying? Like originally he doesn't know anything about this, right? He just sees the table broken because he sees his wife starting to break. Then she tells him everything because he found a dead man in the backyard. And the reality of his family has actually been destroyed.
And both of those are plausible. It's just, it's definitely noticeable shift, and it makes you think, like, huh.
And, they really lean into the robot parts. Like, the boy ends up finding a can of oil, and he, like, dumps it in a port or something in the back of his neck. The neighbor comes over, and he's like, hey, man, where's my dog? And Veronica's like, hey, man, come on in. You can check my crib. And he's like, nah, I don't want to come in. And she's like, do it anyways. And the house is destroyed. He finds a lighter from chapter 1 that Vision was talking about. And, he's like, hey, this looks expensive. And she's like, yeah, well, it's from World War II. And he's like, man, they really don't make them like they used to. And Veronica's like, no, George, you're right. They don't. Trust me.
Oh, crap. You know what? Okay, so like, don't answer this.
All right.
I'm just gonna throw something out there. I know within the first few chapters they talk about a fire, and they're gonna wonder why the vase from wherever it was from doesn't have water in it, or something like that, right? Or it doesn't carry water.
Yeah.
Is that gonna be the lighter that maybe ignites a fire to destroy some stuff?
So then we go into I can't answer that.
Okay. All right.
Vision talking about how he has a talk with his wife, and Virginia, not Veronica, Virginia tells him everything, spills her guts on everything. So he's like sawing away with a bone saw, and there's blood all over him, and I'm like, oh my god, is this man chopping up the Reaper? Is he taking care of the evidence, as one would say?
Yep.
No, he's chopping the head off of a dog. I could not believe it. I've read this before also, so like, I don't know why I didn't remember this. But he takes the dog's brain and he scans it, and he makes a Vision dog.
Yeah. I mean, happy ending to a really shitty scene, but yeah, it's like, it's rough. It's rough getting through that page.
Yeah. Doggo shows up, and everybody seems to be happy and fine. They're forgetting about their problems. End of that chapter. Well, actually, hold on. Not quite end. You find out that the narration the whole time about the problem, P and NP, was actually Agatha Harkness describing to the Avengers and Inhumans and X-Men that Vision is going to become a very big problem because he sees his family as NP now. Like, he needs to protect them.
Yeah. And basically, she tells the Avengers that Vision will kill all of you to protect his family. So,
Yep. He will kill you. Crazy. He will kill all of your family.
Yeah. Oh, gave me goosebumps when I was reading it. I was like, oh god.
Bad shit's happening.
And then Wanda, she's in that scene, right, where Agatha tells him.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved this chapter.
This is a cool chapter. So this is the art style is even like subtly different. You can tell that it's like a memory. And this entire chapter is just Vision's backstory. So for anybody who doesn't know, how this came about, or like the long story of Marvel's history with these two characters, because they've been around for 40 plus years, 50 plus years. And this kind of like condenses it down into 13 pages. Their entire romance. How they fell in love and like told each other they loved each other in the middle of a fight in New York, which was cute. They have these like little inside jokes, and Tom King does such a great job of like humanizing these characters.
On that first page, I think there's a notable scene, and it's the toaster joke. Vision talks about hearing this joke from Janet Van Dyne, right?
Yeah, the Wasp.
About two toasters talking to each other, and one's like, "Hey, do you ever feel empty inside?" And the other one says, "Like, oh my god, a talking toaster, right?" And Wanda laughs at it, and it's cute, right? It shows like there's some chemistry between them. And fast forward, they're in the fight. They're saying, "I love you," and da da da. And I love the dialogue with Vision where he's like, "Should I raise my vocal volumes so that way you can hear me?" And she calls him. She basically is like, "No, you're fine, you toaster." Da da da. And he's like, "Okay, good, because I really like them where they're at already." It's just like. This scene interested me, but I don't know anything about it, so I'm going to let you speak about it.
So originally, Magneto was thought to be Wanda and Pietro's father.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But turns out that they technically, that's their birth father, right? But they get given powers and stuff by the High Evolutionary. You saw him in Guardians 3. He actually created all these people that are sitting here, with the exception of Agatha Harkness and Wonder Man. So this is just kind of like the family getting together for like a Thanksgiving or something. Maybe it was a party for their engagement. I don't remember, or I don't know specifically. But all these people are linked to Wanda and Pietro more so than Vision. So this is like their family.
And at this dinner, I think that's where the birth of the idea of like why Vision craves having a family. I forget how the scene plays out.
Yeah,
he's like to give a toast.
This isn't quite there yet, but this is more just like him seeing the possibilities, I guess. Like, it's hard to explain, but I wouldn't read too much into this scene. This is just more of their like lives
I don't know. It looked like he was excited whenever he got called to be a part of the family, so that's how I took it. But the Wundagore, as soon as he started the next page, whenever he starts picking the Wundagore flower, I'm like, oh god, no, please. I don't need another scene like this.
Yeah, so Wanda is like, yeah, it gets kind of gory, but like you can tell the future. And he's like, well, let's do it. Let's do it the right way so we can tell the future. And she's like, let's not. Because if you remember a couple of chapters ago, you had to like murder a cat and like eat its heart. They talk about chaos magic and him putting a fucking necklace on her, which is kind of neat. Yeah,
still like showing chemistry between the two.
That they loved each other. They had a family and they were into it. Then we get into the kids that are not real. So everybody should know at this point that their children are not they're not actually real. They were spawned from chaos magic. One thing you may not know is that after this part, after we come back from House of M, because in universe they actually take the kids away because they're not real, and then they disappear. And she ends up kidnapping Professor X and saying there's no more mutants, and like changes the whole world. And there's this big like event where all the comics are part of House of M and everything changes. She becomes like the biggest supervillain. Once they come back, and get her. I don't remember exactly how they conclude the event, but she brings the kids back and she makes a deal with Mephisto to give them souls, so they become actual people, so they become real in universe. That's why after the Vision is killed and destroyed, and he comes back with his in the white form. They have this big discussion with the kids about Vision's like, hey, like I know who you are, I know how you are, I know where you came from, but I'm not actually your dad. I just know about it. And Wanda fucking freaks out, breaks down.
Yeah, and that was a rough scene because it's really different from my only introduction to this was WandaVision, and that plays out a lot differently in the show.
It's similar though.
Kind of, yeah. It's just she really Vision very much so gets alienated in that scene, but realistically, like that is the most machine-like. What do they call it? Synthezoid?
Yeah,
synthoid.
Synthoid. Yeah.
Yeah, that I've seen of Vision in this series. The way he was talking to the kids and it's like, look, I have your dad's memories, but I'm not your dad. Therefore, you're not my children. It's just like cut and simple, just like that. And obviously, like Wanda's distraught in it and all of that.
Yeah,
that was interesting to see White Vision. I don't know what he's called actually, but
yeah, that's fine. White Vision's good. Earlier they talked about when they were putting the necklace on, she talked about how the only when we were talking about the Wonder Gore plant, she said the only future I need to see is you, the Vision, right? And then once he dies and comes back, Vision comes in and he's like, "Look, Wanda, sorry, but the future's here. We're done. We're not a couple. I'm not your husband."
And I think talks about getting her memory wiped, right? Like,
well, that's a little bit later. I think that's a couple pages.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she ends up coming back in 2016, and her memory is completely wiped, and she falls in love with Wonder Man, and he walks in on him making out, and she's like, I don't give a shit. You're not my husband. It doesn't matter to me. But he actually had his memories returned, so his original program was there. So this is the original Vision, not Y Vision anymore. So he's in love with Wanda. And she walks up to him. She's like, I made you a present. I think it was Beast. One of the smart guys helped her put her brainwaves into a diamond chip that's just like his.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what you were talking about earlier, where you find out where the idea of him making wife comes from is actually from Wanda. She suggests that he go find somebody that's like this, but not exactly this. Because Vision is actually based off of Wonder Man. She's in love with him, and she thinks it's because he's really close to being Vision, but he's not Vision. It was a real kick in the pants, dude.
Yeah, it is. And it's funny because it's funny to watch Vision blow this off because, again, it's almost human-like. Like when he walks in, he's like, "Oh, it doesn't bother me," and he just keeps walking.
Yeah.
But Wanda actually kind of seemed very what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe empathetic.
Yeah.
In my opinion, just like I love the dialogue between like a gift where he's like, "I don't need it," and she's like, "Well, if you did, it wouldn't be a gift," and it was great.
Yeah.
But like the idea that Wanda would even think that because the reason she gave that brainwave pattern to Vision was so that he had a chance of finding happiness like she did. That's what I got from it, and so like that was nice. However,
it was a hell of a lot nicer than the White Vision, where he's like, "I don't give a shit about you. Future's here. Peace out, bitch." She's like, "Look, I don't remember our stuff, but like I have some empathy for you. I like you too. So here's your thing. I hope you find happiness." Like it's way better.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Next page is him telling the joke to his wife about the toasters, and completely falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, she doesn't laugh at all, and that really speaks volumes about the chemistry between the two.
Yeah,
and I think that's why that first scene, like, it was such a good callback. That's why this is probably one of my favorite chapters, just because night and day difference between what he had to what he has.
Yeah. And they're both looking like moonstruck, right? So they're both just like, we're just going through the motions at this point.
Yes.
At the end, we begin again, and at everything is anew and on to the last chapter. This is by far my least favorite. I'm remembering a lot of this, and a lot of the original memories of reading this are. I don't like this character, and I don't like that they brought him in. Maybe that's just me. I hope it's just me, because the series as a whole is fantastic. But I felt like this took it away. But we see the family kind of getting back to the normal here, right? Their house is back in immaculate shape. Vision's out there burning the driveway snow off with his laser beam.
Walking Nova through how to
like restart a password, yeah, or restart a Quinjet.
Yeah.
Virginia finds a song that lets her repeat words constantly.
Mm-hmm. That way she can seem normal.
Yeah, and the dog's playing fetch. We end up getting some narration. Now, the red narration, in my opinion, is Wanda. I think the purple narration is Vision, and the blue is Agatha. When it's white, that's just pure narration. But the red bubbles, I think, is the way I read it is that's Wanda explaining something to us as a reader.
Okay.
And we walk through Victor Mancha, his origin stories, which he's another son of Ultron. He's a synthoid that was built to think he's a person, and his brainwaves are just created out of nothing, which is kind of sad. He's a character that ends up killing the West Coast Avengers by betraying them, but he ends up becoming a good guy later on anyway. So the Avengers, you don't know this yet, but the Avengers send him in to, keep tabs on Vision on what's going on from what happened with Agatha. And we'll find out a little bit more about that later. But he calls up Vision and says, "Hey, bro, I'm going to be in town." And he sees him as a brother because they both were made by Ultron. And has him come over, and they have dinner together. For whatever reason, they decide to go to a restaurant.
To talk about that narration, I really like. I had know nothing about the character, so this is my introduction to him. But I love the narration to where it says basically like he has two futures, and one future is he joins the Avengers, and then his programming activates, I guess, that Ultron put in, and he will kill them. And when he finds out about this, he does everything in his power to not become victorious, which is his villain alias, I guess.
Persona.
And yeah, and he wants to just be Victor. And the narration, I think that was a beautiful setup to what this goes into. The restaurant scene was very funny, like where he's like, "Yeah, the food I ordered, just wait about 45 minutes and then bring me the check. Don't bring it out though."
Yeah, because they don't eat. None of them eat. They're all robots.
Yeah.
They fly home. You see another scene. Oh, there you go. You guys can see the floating mailbox. They fly home, and this guy's just pretty much doing a great job of ingratiating himself, like making sure everybody likes him. Just being an all-around great Uncle Jesse,
Yeah.
He plays basketball with Vin. He talks about, the bad shit that's going on with Virginia. They reminisce with his daughter about, the kid that died and how she keeps playing that memory over and over again. There was actually a scene I think we skipped over where she's in the mirror. She's like, replay the events on such and such date during the rain. So that's where they had that conversation where he was like talking about how he liked her.
The scene with Ben when he's playing basketball, I really like that one because it's a very like good parallel to the type of conversations you have with adults that you look up to in your life at some point, especially because he's, at a younger age, and it's alluding to the talk, right? Like, everyone can hear you upstairs, you're really loud with it, but he's talking about Vin reading Shakespeare.
Yeah.
It's so good.
He ends up having to talk with everybody, including Vision. And Vision is wise to it, though. You can tell that Vision's like, I'm going to keep my walls up. I understand what you're doing. I see what you're playing here. Really cool thing to see here is that Disney actually just purchased Marvel at this point. So you can see some of the influences here with Mickey Mouse in it.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I didn't know that.
We go into Vin playing with the dog, and Virginia says, dinner conversation's going to be starting soon. You need to get back in the house. He's like, well, you told me to not be in the house, Ma. I'm going to keep playing. And he throws the ball into a door, which, I skipped over this. This was something else right here. So there's a panel that this one scene kind of hit me hard, which is a great thing for visual media to do. Is they preach show don't tell, right? So you don't need exposition; you can just show it. You see at the beginning of this chapter, there's actually, I'm going to scoot his face over here a little bit. There's actually a for sale sign. What the hell? Where'd it go? I'm going to go back, Jordan. Just calm down.
Sorry, you're giving me whiplash. It's moving pretty quick.
I know. I missed it. Here we are. So you see this listing. That tells me that everybody's just moving away. Mm-hmm. They're like, yeah, we see you, Vision. We know that you're here to stay, but we don't like it.
Yeah.
We're just going to fucking fuck off. We're going to get the hell out of here. I thought that was a nice touch, and it's all in the background. So this is just when Victor's walking in. All these things are showing you that the houses are actually going up for sale. Everybody's moving out. They're disrupting this neighborhood, even though they're not trying to.
Yeah, and like the streets look like they are still covered in snow. Like it doesn't look like it's habited anymore.
Yeah. So he throws the ball. I'm sorry, Vin throws the ball out. You're right. I am good at that, Amory. Vin throws the ball at the door. Ball bounces. Dog phases through it because he's Vision Dog. He's not normal dog. And Vin's like, "Hey, doggo, don't go in there. That ain't right. Come back out." So he phases through the door because one does, if they can do it. And he finds Victor talking to the Avengers. Give him a status update. And Vin's like, "Hey, man, is that Captain America? I know that guy. My dad works with that guy. What's going on in here?" And Victor's like, "Hey, don't worry about this. We can discuss it. I'll tell you all about it. Just hang out for a second." And he's like, "Nah, Ma said I gotta get back to the convo dinner thing, so I gotta bounce." Yeah. And he's like, "No, you ain't." And he freaking zaps him. End of chapter. Man, such good stuff, right? Like, I'm surprised you wanted to stop here. I thought we'd finish the whole thing because it only escalates.
Yeah, I didn't want to. But to save, the next video for this one, we need to. Altogether, I loved it. It was by far my favorite chapters. I guarantee you that will change the next time we do this reading, and those 4 will probably be my new favorite. But this answered a lot of the questions I had. Like, I started forming. Why is he doing this? What gave him that idea? We also start to see, because you warned me before, when I first saw the cover, I was like, "Oh, this looks nice," like a little family-esque comic. And you're like, "No, man, this is almost like a horror comic." And I'm like, "What?" And now you're seeing it. You see Vision and Virginia, and I mean, really, those are the only 2 that are causing havoc. The kids look like they're just trying to figure out a way to survive.
They're victims of this. Yes. I don't even see Virginia as she's a victim also. The main villain in this story is Vision. The way, so like, he created this family out of nothing, and he's given them life for all these selfish purposes, just because he wanted a woman to love, because he wanted a family. But he doesn't even give any thought to what they want, or who they are, or who they could be. He's just like, you need to fill this box. Yeah,
and it's funny because Vision created him, so realistically, altogether, he is to blame for the things that happen. But a lot of the bad things that happen are because of Virginia, and therefore because of Vision, right? So it's like, if it was just Vision with 2 kids, I don't know. Maybe some of this stuff wouldn't happen. Maybe it'd be different.
So let me ask you this: the boy almost killing the other kid, right? That had nothing to do with Mom. Nothing. That was all just Vin breaking, not understanding who he is or what he is, because he was created as a teenager. Yeah. Why would somebody do that to someone?
It's a good point, but kids are gonna fight regardless, whether they're made of synthoid or not, like
plastic or metal.
So it's hard to tell. Do they ever mature? Is it like the more knowledge they get, the more grown up they get, or are they just always supposed to be teenagers?
They're always supposed to be teenagers.
I mean, can he do like a firmware update, and just like boot it up to version 2? I don't know.
So my biggest complaint with this is that I don't like Victor. because Victor is this super obscure character that I had to look him up originally when I read this. And I've read a lot of comics, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Why didn't they just give us somebody else? Somebody like everybody knows. Like send in Sam Wilson or Tony Stark. It would have made sense for Tony Stark, right? Because he already saw it once. But I mean, I guess the next couple of issues you're gonna see some shit where that kind of answers the question. But I didn't like his addition. I thought it was an ass pull, and they could have done better with it.
Yeah. Well, this chapter, the beginning narration talks about, you know, how there's two paths for him. He can either kill the Avengers or he can not rise up to his victorious name, which is him being a villain, killing the Avengers. And that's him saying Victor, and that's like his motive, I guess. I guess that's why he takes on this job, to be with the Avengers, keep tabs on the visions. And at the ending of this chapter, the narration says, you know, in the moment that it goes into some crazy detail where it's like in that moment where you see the yellow, I don't know what they call it, gemstone, whatever, you know, firing, and you smell the unfamiliar smell of skin burning. And in that moment, he will say, yes, I'm not victorious, because he's dying a hero. And that was really cool. So, I mean, me personally,
I'm going to read that out loud. So you personally what? You personally what?
I personally didn't have to know the character. The narration I got from it, not knowing anything else about comics, it was more than enough for me, and I loved it.
So the narration is, at the end of this story, Victor Mancha will be all that stands between Vision and the destruction of the world. On that day, he will die. And as he dies, as his system fails and falls at the Vision's feet, as the last electrodes of light pops black in his left eye, Victor Mancha will smile. Yes, he will think, yes, I have defied destiny. I have fought back fate. I am a hero like my brother. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? I shall not be victorious. That's a great line, right? So, like, it is. Being victorious means you win. And, like, in order for him to be a hero, he had to lose.
Yes.
That's very cool.
And it's almost a callback to when, in the last chapter, when he's being interrogated, and it talks about all the times where he's, like, he's been shot and torn and battered. Vision, this is Vision I'm talking about, where he's just been beat to shit, and he rises every time, and he says, I will not fail. You know, I will not be defeated. And it's perfect because he will not be defeated, but this character needs to be defeated to reach his sense of victory by not becoming the villain.
It kind of speaks to what it's going to happen with Vision, too. Like, no matter what, he's got to lose. Either he loses his status as an Avenger, as a hero, and lives with his family, or his family dies.
Yeah.
It's a lose-lose. And that's what I love about it. Tom King's writing here is just so good. There's so much subtext to it, too. He does a fantastic job with these characters. And you bring up a good point that, like, you don't even have to know a ton about them. There's enough here in this complete story to tell you everything you need to know about these people and whether you're going to love them or hate them.
Yes. And now I do want to ask you a question. Pretend like you hadn't read this
twice.
yeah. Pretend like you hadn't read this at all. And this is like your first time, like it is mine.
All right.
Knowing what I know about you in Infinity War, knowing what you know, how would you want this to end?
How do I want it to end?
Yes.
I mean, the first time I was reading it, I was like, I want everybody to live through it, and I want them to all be happy. Like, I want Vision to get what he needs. I want the kids to be normal kids and not freaking out. And I want the mom to be sane. Okay. But I knew that was never going to happen, because in chapter 1, we know that Virginia kills some neighbors. Yeah. So I was like, damn, that sucks, man.
Yeah. Here's how I see it. Like, there's two ways this can go down that I don't know of. We'll find out in the next 4 chapters. But what can happen is Vision will have some type of struggle with either the Avengers or something that will put the terms whether he's going to come back to his senses and realize that maybe the family wasn't the best thing for him.
It's going to be a lot sooner than you think, man. A lot sooner.
Okay. Well,
continue.
All right. Or Vision fights tooth and nail, gemstone and cape to keep his family and keep that status of like the perfect American dream, right? to the point to where like it is the end of the world. And honestly, I kind of want to see the second one. I want to see Vision whoop some ass, needless, like unwarranted, ridiculously destroy some people for this fake fantasy. I think that'd be great.
It's gonna be a little bit of both. There's gonna be a little bit of both of that. We're not done with Heartbreak, but it ends pretty good.
We're gonna lose another dog.
Oh, God, I hope
No.
not. All right, well, that's gonna do it. That's as far as we read this week. We're missing one guy. Dave didn't end up reading any of the books, so we kicked him. Well, Jordan kicked him off this week. We were in chat earlier, and I was like, damn, he could do like soundboards and stuff, and he's like, fuck Dave, what does he even need to be here for?
Oh my God, no, it was not.
Yeah, that's harsh, Jordan, but all right.
His contract was up. All right.
It's like it's not like it's my show or anything.
No, dude, no. We look forward to seeing Dave next week.
What do we got planned for next week? What is next week's? I gotta look it up.
Movies?
We're back on movies, so we got to get caught up on Secret Invasion and keep posted to the socials. So we'll announce what we're going to be talking about. It might be some far right film, but it depends on whether we can go out and see that or not. What was the title of that movie, Jordan?
Hold on.
Pretty sure we're not going to see it, guys.
Hold on. What is it called? Please hold.
Yeah, we could do Barbie. That's not on the top of my list, but it's possible.
Sound of Freedom. That's what
Sound of Freedom. We might do some Barbie. We might do some Sound of Freedom. Jordan does not want to see Barbie. Dude, it looks legit. It looks legit.
Yeah, it does. I love Margot Robbie, so I'll probably end up seeing it.
All right, so that's going to do it this week. Follow us on our socials. I'm PrimeTony112. You can get me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays on Twitch. Catch me at Kick on Wednesdays, all at PrimeTony112. Jordan?
And obviously, I am Momo J, spelled M0M0J. You can find me on Twitch. I'm still setting up the schedule. So you can find me on Twitch, definitely on Saturdays. We're going to be doing some Smite, sadly. I know a lot of you don't like that. And then obviously Mondays, we're planning on moving the podcast to Sundays coming up in the near future. It's just going to work better with the schedule. And you can find me on Twitter at TheMomoJ and Facebook at MomoJ Gaming.
And keep in mind, new episodes go live on Mondays right now, moving to Sundays soon. We'll let you guys know when to catch it live. All of them go up on Tuesdays on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play, or wherever you can find your podcasts. Come hang out with us. We like having people in chat. Mostly it's just my wife telling me how great I am and Dave telling Jordan how bad he is, but we'll take whatever.
Yeah, I'm also looking for applications to other podcasts at this point, so if you know any, just go ahead and drop them.
All right, see you guys.
See ya.